With big names like Kyle Schwarber starting off slow as a snail and Dansby Swanson overperforming, do we buy low on Schwarber and sell high on Swanson? We'll talk about that and more on today's podcast. So let's lock on in and get ready for an action packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of all fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Ane, and sadly, Dom couldn't join us. Unfortunately, he has some things going on, and he wasn't able to be here. Man, I hope he's back soon because I miss him, and I'm sure you guys do too. You can find us on all social media platforms, podcasting apps, and YouTube. Just search for Locked On Fantasy Baseball, and we'll be there. Please leave a 5-star review. That really goes a long way for us. And on wherever you may listen. Also, subscribe on YouTube and YouTube channel, and click the bell so you get an alert every time we post a new video. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner of Locked On, and make every moment more when you visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started today. All right, it's going to be a good episode, guys. I really think you're going to enjoy it, and there's a lot of good information we need to get across here. With people overperforming this season and just, coming out of nowhere, essentially, I think it's the right time to talk about selling high on these people because we're early in the game and a lot of people are probably freaking out about, oh my God, we either struck gold or man, my team is sucking. Names like Kyle Schwarber are taking a dump, and we can really take advantage of this and see what we can get out of selling high on these guys and taking advantage of people's, how do I put this? I guess sidestepping or hesitating or flinching essentially at the early bad performance. So I feel like a lot of names we have to cover today. And, I might as well start right at the top with our biggest sell high candidate here. And that's Mr. Dansby Swanson. You guys heard about me talking about him over in the offseason about how I think Dansby's actually going to be a bust. And the reason for it is he's never really done a season like he did last year. And, I could be wrong here. And, you could take this with a grain of salt with how your opinion is on Dansby Swanson. But mine is last year was a contract year and he really just performed to get the big payday like he did with the Cubs. And on top of that, the Cubs really aren't a great team, even though they are looking like they may at least do some damage this year. But I think it's just fool's gold. And last year, I'm not going to knock on the guy. He had a good season, right? In 640 at-bats, he had 99 runs. He had 32 doubles. 1 triple, 25 home runs, 96 ribbies, 18 stolen bases, and batted .277. Now, those are great numbers. Do not get me wrong. But again, 1, he was on Atlanta Braves, not the Cubs. 2, it's a contract year. And this is why I say that, because in 2021, it wasn't the same story, right? So he had 78 runs in comparison to 99 runs. He had 33 doubles, which is comparable. And he had more home runs, which is 27, but only 88 ribs, 9 stolen bases, which is half of the amount that he had in 2022 at 18. And he batted .248. Okay. Outside of 2022, right, in 2019, which is a full season, not including 2020, because that season doesn't count, he had .251. The year before that in 2018, he had .238. Year before that in 2017, .232. So that batting average is super inflated, and I don't foresee that being one of the key points. I think maybe the home runs stay the same, but those ribbies and those runs are not going to be there on the Cubs. So hence why I think right now with all the Swanson hype and everybody saying, oh, yeah, Locked On, you were wrong. He's doing it. Like, let them think that way. Let's dump them. Let's sell high and see if you can get a good value for him. Like, see if you can go get a top 50 player like a good pitcher if you're weak in pitching, or even second base or third base. See if you can scoop it up, especially if the team does not have a shortstop and they don't have one of those top tier guys. They're probably like, man, I really messed up. I didn't even get Swanson. Well, here you go. Time to dump him, because I'm sure if you were listening to us, you probably grabbed a better shortstop than Swanson. So I'm sure he's like your utility guy here. So I think it's the perfect time to dump him off on somebody else's team and let him be a landmine there, and just wait for the explosion to go off. And then you make out like a bandit and you look like a genius. Well, let's move on here. Dansby Swanson, definitely a sell high candidate, at least in my opinion. All right, let's talk about another guy here, and that's Mr. Adam Duvall. He seems to be just going off crazy. I don't know exactly how much you're going to be able to pull together for him, but he's at least worth shopping out and packaging to upgrade at another position. You either got him free off the waiver wire or one of your last couple of picks, and with him being one on Boston, right? He's on Boston. I just don't foresee him being that good with a team that is just playing. That's not going to have a great season. It's just one of those things where I'm really just not a big fan. And two, I mean, Duvall really never, ever. Well, I can't say that. Really never had such a fantasy value in at least a little bit of time. So I'm just looking at it and I'm just like, wow, he's playing great for the start of the season in what, like 5-6 games, right? Because he's having a good season so far. Sorry, I'm muddling. He had 17 at bats so far. He had 10 hits, 7 runs, 2 bombs, 9 ribbies. He's batting .588. That's great for the short amount of time that we're in the season. And honestly, outfield is a very, very skimpy, short-winded talent for the talent drop off. And people are probably like, man, I missed out, or man, unfortunately, I think I was wrong on Oscar Gonzalez. And he's somebody you can actually dump on them if they have him as one of their outfielders that they're relying on, and kind of see if you can turn him into something. You could probably package him and some other, mediocre player and up for a top 100 player. And, you're turning this, well under 100 player into a top 100 player. And that you gain some value, and then you boost your team, whether that's pitching or bats, or one of those skimpy positions like another outfielder or third base or second. I think you can really turn him into something nice. All right. So Adam Duvall, sell high. Let's move on here to Mr. Brendan Donovan. Everybody's probably ready to stab me over this one, just because of the fact that everybody seems to think that he's going to be this amazing player. And I could be wrong. I'm just out on Donovan, or at least better yet, with the hype surrounding him. I think that you could probably get more out of trading him than what he can do for you during the season. That's just my outlook on it. But he is having a great season. Let me read it off. 19 at-bats, 5 runs, 2 bombs, 5 ribs, 263. And he's batting at 263. It's great. Good job, Brendan Donovan, especially on that St. Louis Cards team. That's another boost and another knock in his direction as to why you want him. But I mean, yes, it's only his second year. And yes, you're probably saying, oh, you only had only 400 at bats last season. You don't know what he can do. And sure, fine, dandy, great. But I'm not sure what to do with him, except for the fact that he has like 18 eligible at 18 positions. So I'm just looking at it where, hey, I could probably dump him with the hype that's going on right now and get somebody really valuable, because nobody was really looking at him going into the season. At least I wasn't. I know a bunch of other people weren't. He wasn't so high up on there. He was just a last round dart throw that, hey, happened to pan out. But for how long? He doesn't have the track history to really say, hey, he can really do it for us, right? I mean, he's not really a home run guy, as he's shown in the minors in 2021. He had 12 home runs. In 19, he had 8. He doesn't really steal bases. I mean, in 2021, he had 19, but in his 400 at bats, he only had 2. And I mean, what do we really expect from Donovan? I'm not sure. So dump him now, get something valuable, a top 100 player, top 150 player, and see what you can get. I think you can probably make that a real nice, tasty offer to boost your team as well. And if you package him with somebody else, you really might be able to go and snag somebody really outperforming that we're going to talk about in the next section here. Up next, we're going to talk about a bunch of buy lows, and these guys can also be packaged to come after guys that we're going to talk about in this next section here. So before we do that, here at Locked On, we're super excited about our new sports betting partner, FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and now is the perfect time to download the FanDuel app, America's #1 sportsbook. Because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000, that's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from money line, points scored, and threes drained. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a bigger chance at a bigger payout in the same game parlay. So don't miss your chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 and bonus bets back, baby. So you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, and we're back. And just like I promised, we're now going to talk about people that I think we should be targeting in trades and buy low. And one of the people I really think that should be on the top of everybody's list. One, because I said that outfield is terrible this year, and the drop off at the talent is real quick. And two, what he did last year is absolutely incredible. And let me stop burying the lead and teasing you guys. That's Kyle Schwarber. We all know what Kyle Schwarber can do, right? Last year was great. He hit so many home runs. He's on that great Phillies lineup, and they're just starting slow as a team. And, if they can even get back to form last year and where Schwarber's really back to his thing, man, it could be really special. Because last year he had 46 home runs. I don't foresee him hitting 46, 40, 35, 37. That would be a great start line. I think he probably can get his batting average back up to 230. He's going to get the runs and ribbies are going to be there. I mean, that team is only going to get better. They're at the bottom right now. They're actually whooping my Yankees right now, sadly. But we'll see. Their pitching loves to blow leads. But anyway, Schwarber's a great candidate for buy low. And the reason for that is, outside of only going 1 for 9 so far this season, excluding maybe tonight, I haven't seen yet. Been writing this episode. I think he's the perfect buy low candidate. I mean, we all are forgetting too. He didn't really have a spring training where he was getting used to the pitching time, the pitch timer and timer pitching clock and all that. And he's really getting used to boom, 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 pitch. And I think that's really throwing him off. So, now he's back in. It's going to take him a little bit of time to adjust. And that's good for us, guys that are identifying that, hey, he's a great buy low candidate and that we can really scoop him up on the cheap. Now, I mean, you could totally. If somebody has Dansby Swanson, somebody has Kyle Schwarber, and they don't have a good shortstop, definitely package Swanson for him. I think you could probably pull it off because you're probably like, oh man, it was a one-hit wonder. Oh, that's it. And you could really, dig the knife in the back and really talk him into it. Like, oh man, I think he's over. I'm just taking him for the upside. God forbid he bounces back. Dansby's looking good right now. You don't got a shortstop. And, if you could throw something else in, if you're lucky to have Swanson and Duvall, boom, that's the perfect package and you're ready to rock. So, I mean, definitely target Kyle Schwarber. You will thank me. Now, let's talk about his teammate, Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola is another one. I mean, people are probably pissed because, we drafted him pretty high. And on top of that, not for nothing, I thought he was going to win Cy Young because of the contract year. And I still think that. I haven't shifted yet. It's only been one start, but it was a really bad start. And Aaron Nola has this thing where he does it every other year. So he's kind of really inconsistent with that. And this is that other year. But I think the outliers this year because it's a contract year. And he's still a good pitcher. He's still going to put out good numbers. And you could probably be like, well, one, it's the other year. And two, I mean, maybe the Phillies aren't giving him a contract for a reason. Really dig that knife in, like I keep saying, and see if you can package something to scoop up Aaron Nola. It may take a little bit more of a bullish offer, but I think you could still get him on the cheap and not have to give up like a top 20, top 30 talent that you drafted a couple last week. I think you can probably get him on the cheap and see what you can do with this. Aaron Nola, great target. Definitely target him as a buy low candidate. So this next name, Alex Bregman, Mr. Trash Can himself. Sorry, guys, I will keep doing it. I apologize in advance, but I'm sorry I'm a Yankee fan, and I'm just going to have to talk the smack. Alex Bregman's also off for a slow start this year. It's actually upsetting because you know what? One, third base is talent drop off is really bad, and he's one of the last of the Mohegans where you know what? I feel comfortable leaving the draft with him as my starting third baseman. And people are probably like, "Oh my God, what do I do? Oh my God, oh my God." Well, everybody's high on Brendan Donovan, right? I mean, I don't know if you're going to be able to pull off this. We probably have to package him and somebody else to get it done. But hey, great trade target, especially if somebody ended up getting, getting Alex Bregman and Anthony Rendon, for instance. They may be feeling okay, or they may be crying about because Rendon is kind of like okay right now. Not great, but still has a third baseman that we're confident in. And maybe you can go in and scoop Alex Bregman out from under him by giving him Donovan, who has probably third base eligibility, and and everything but catcher actually and pitcher. And something else. You can scoop up Alex Bregman and see what you can do, and then boom, when he catches fire on that amazing Houston Astros team, he's gonna be rocking and rolling. You're gonna be looking like a genius. I mean, pretty much this episode is just to make you look like a genius. Sorry, don't mean to be too cocky, but I mean these are great takes, and I mean I think that if we're overestimating how fast people react and flinch when things go bad right off the gate. Everybody wants that instant gratification at the start of the season. I have the best team, but don't expect for players to start off slow. But this isn't fantasy football, guys, where we only have 1 week. We have 7 days in a week, and this week 9. So I think that we got to take our breath and take advantage of the dummies that are reacting poorly, and make them look stupid at the end of the day and rob their best player out from under them. And this is how we do this. We buy low on these guys. So Alex Bregman, definitely a target for me. All right, let's talk about one other guy. And this one's a little bit we probably can get cheap. It's Gunnar Henderson. They probably drafted him at a decent draft price, but not too crazy. I would hope at least. Gunnar Henderson, top prospect. I don't foresee him staying this bad for this long. He's going to figure it out. And personally, I think that you're waiting for the giant to wake. And this is going to pan out for you if you do this. You're not going to have to give up much. So if you can package a decent package for him, like a 2-for-1 of 2, like okay bench guys, you can get Gunnar Henderson. One, he has third base eligibility and shortstop, and apparently second base now, which is phenomenal for you. Two of the hardest positions to fill, and you're going to get Gunnar Henderson. And the best part is you probably already have one. Now he's going to be a nice bench player, and we all know what Gunnar Henderson is capable of, right? Gunnar Henderson can steal bases. Gunnar Henderson can hit home runs, and he's going to hit for average too. So once he figures out what's going on and makes the adjustment, boom, I think it's going to be lights out, and you're not going to have to give up much to go and scoop him up and get one of the top prospects this season. So Gunnar Henderson may be the answer, and I'm all about it this year. All right. Up next, I'm going to give you 2 players. I'm going to give you a few players that you should target before they come back off the IL. And I don't think you're going to want to miss this. All right. I'm really excited about our new partner and sponsor of today's episode, the mobile app, Ultimate Baseball GM. Ever dream of becoming an MLB GM and managing your own professional franchise? Well, your dream can come true now. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the season, lead your team to glory. You're responsible for hiring the right coaches and staff, managing finances, scouting and drafting players, and managing difficult personalities, navigating through your franchise through free agency and ups and downs of the season. Ultimate Baseball GM is completely free and playable without Wi-Fi. Play on the go as you want and where you want. It's great. I've absolutely been hooked on this game since I've downloaded it. Dom and I have just been going back and forth, talking smack about who's got the better franchise because you're able to go in the league with your friends. It's absolutely awesome. And this is the best part, guys. My favorite part about this whole thing that we're talking about it, right? If you, when you listeners of our podcast at Locked On Fantasy Baseball get 100% free boost to their franchise by using the code Locked On in the game store. So make sure you check it out. To download the game, go visit probaseballgm.com, scan the code below right here on the screen, or go to the App Store. That's probaseballgm.com. Start your dynasty today. All right, guys, we're down to the wire here. We got two more guys that I really think we should be eyeing here and probably trying to trade for if you don't already have them. All right. And with all these arms going down, zero arms, just, a little tease here. I think that you might be able to get lucky and scoop one of these guys because they probably need an IL spot, right? And, first name we're going to talk about here is Kyle Wright. Kyle Wright, I think, is he's supposed to throw tomorrow. And then from there, if the start goes well, he's going to rejoin the Atlanta Braves next week for his first start, which is great. So if you can shoot somebody, what do you call it? A trade offer that you can get them on the cheap or even get them at a half decent price and throw out a good offer. I think it'll be very valuable. I think Kyle Wright had a great season last year, and I think he's primed to do it again. I get it. It's a shoulder injury, but at the same time, you're not going to have to give up what you were passing on if you drafted him this season. Now you can kind of choose who you want to give up. And, again, like these guys we mentioned at the top of the show for sell high, maybe you throw them in if, they're hurting. Also, too, I mean, God forbid they get stuck with the injury bug with like Verlander to pair with him or even Tristan McKenzie, unfortunately, or Max Fried or any of the names that have went down over the last couple of days. He may be hurting for, or she may be hurting for an IL spot. And it's like, man, I don't want to drop these guys, but what do I do? Right. So maybe you can take them off their hands and see what you can do. I mean, Kyle Wright last season was absolutely amazing, right? Let's read off what he did because it was really impressive. 180 innings, 174 strikeouts, a 3.19 ERA, 21 wins, and a whip of 1.159. So, I mean, I don't know if he's going to repeat that win count because, wins are not a category that you can project or predict at this point. But, I mean, it's the Atlanta Braves, guys. How do you not take a bet on an Atlanta Braves pitcher, especially one as good as Kyle Wright? I mean, he is the epitome of a buy low candidate, or not even buy low, just a buy. Just go out there and get him. Kyle Wright will not disappoint the second he's back, and it's the perfect time. And if you get it in this morning when you first hear this podcast, you do it right before that start, and he says, okay, boom, you're gold. You just robbed him out from under him when he has a great start tomorrow, and he's going to be back in the lineup next week. So definitely target Kyle Wright. All right, this next guy here, another great pitcher. This one's a little bit longer on the timetable, so it's not actionable today unless you want to, and if you don't have anybody on the IL spots, and that's Luis Severino. Sevy is an interesting case, right? We're going to be finding out when he's going to get his pitching assignment. He's going to need a couple weeks of ramping up in the minors, which is unfortunate for us as fantasy owners, but good for Sevy. He's going to get warmed up real nice and then be ready for us. Sorry, I'm also trying to get this up. So it looks like he was playing catch today, which is Tuesday for me, Wednesday for you guys, so Tuesday. And he's continued to work his way back from a low-grain right lat strain, but remains without definitive timetable to return to New York starting rotation. He'll likely require several weeks to build up his arm strength and pitch count, which puts him at returns sometime in late April or early May. There should be some clarity to his return in sometime this week, which is great. So like I said, it's not actionable, but if you're willing to take the shot, if you like Luis Severino, I think it's the perfect time to kind of start eyeing what kind of offer you're going to make, knowing that right now there isn't a timetable, and this is where like you might want to do it before there is. So before they get that stuck in their head, I just got to wait a couple of weeks, go after them and see if you can put in like a meh offer or an almost good equal offer that's like right under where you still win the trade. where, okay, like, hey, I'm also doing really good this week. My pitching is loaded and I can wait for Severino and give him like an okay guy to kind of fill his, because he's definitely hurting. Severino was a top end pick for their rotation, most likely. So you can help fill that void for him for a couple weeks. While if you've got a stacked lineup, stacked rotation, you can do without him. Boom, you're gold. I think that Severino, when he comes back, is going to be an instant impact player to that rotation. And you're going to be so grateful because now you're not going to give up a top 4 rotational spot guy. You're going to give up like probably a 6, 5, maybe at worst for Sevy, because they're going to be desperate. Because what if he doesn't come back till May? And that's the point you kind of really drive home to him. And you can see if you can really scoop him out and take him out from under him. And again, Severino can be that guy for you. And I have all the hope in the world that he's going to return to fantasy greatness for us and win us those leagues. All right, guys, it's been a great episode. I really hope I don't have to be here alone tomorrow, but if Dom's still going through it, it will just be me tomorrow. But I hope you enjoy the solo pods, and please like, comment, let me know what you liked about the podcast, what you didn't like, and I will definitely improve. And hopefully I won't have to do this alone again, so that I don't have to sit here and ask these questions. But that's all for today. Subscribe, comment, rate, review, as always. And thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And guys, you should really make your second listen every day. Locked On Prospects with Lindsey Crosby. Here's the thing, right? Everybody wants the inside track on which prospects are being called up, who's getting bumped up the top 100 list, who should I keep an eye out on, because who's going to be that sneaky pickup this year that's going to be a prospect and goes off like a Corbin Carroll, or even you get lucky, go back a couple of years ago like Juan Soto, and see if you can scoop them off and then have a fantasy winning pickup like a prospect, especially with Super 2 coming closer each and every day. You really want to listen to Lindsey. He has amazing insight. He was on this podcast a couple weeks ago, and he really just is an encyclopedia of prospect knowledge. And this is how you get the leg up on the rest of your league, by listening to Lindsey. So definitely check out Locked On Prospects. And with that being said, guys, I really hope you tune in for tomorrow. It's going to be another good one. But until next time, guys, peace.